Hello, lovely people. Good evening. I had tried to do this earlier, but the video came out messed up, so I had to redo it now. It's all right. I'm learning. So let me get back to what I was talking about. So I said today that, I had a long day, but at the same time, I had a great day because I was at work and I was helping patients, and it's just that's my passion, and I love what I do. But the miracles that have been happening in my life since this whole journey that I've started with God have really been just like coming into fruition so quickly, guys, and it's just like an amazing sense of just accomplishment, recently, my dad and I, we hadn't been speaking for many years. I don't know if it's been a decade or so, but we hadn't spoken a long time. And he was never in my life anyway, but I'm not angry now, but I was angry then, because I had so many questions as to, okay, so why, why don't they love me? What is it that I've done wrong? All I did was come into their lives because they chose to have me. But I realized that my relationship with God would change all of those things, and God has shown me himself in so many ways in such a short period of time, So, I mean, my father, I texted him recently, last Tuesday I texted him and I was like, hey, Dad, I love you. And, if you ever need me for anything, I'm going to be there for you because you're my dad and I love you and I'm your daughter. And didn't even like, it was just me going through my process of, forgiving people, and giving them the love that, because I didn't understand what their circumstances were 42 years ago that made them make the decision that they made. And I'm going to tell you how, God can replay things in your life so that you can get the lesson. And in my process, my child, I had my first child when I was 23, and I gave him to his dad when he was 2 months old. And it was such a hard process for me, and it was such a just it was painful for me, to go through that. But God brought him back to me, and he always brought him back to me, and he brought him back to me indefinitely now because my son is 19. He's doing great things with his life, and he's a loving boy. He's just a loving, well, young man. And I'm so grateful to God for him just to have that heart and that spirit of forgiveness and just love his mom like he does, and I love him unconditionally just the same. But to go back to my dad's situation, after I sent him that text, I just waited patiently and just continued to pray over it. And my dad texted me on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. He texted me after he read that text that I sent him. And, I said, you can call me, but I think he was still a little bit apprehensive about calling me because he didn't know, if I was really as calm as what I texted, because the texts that I've had sent in the past were not as nice. That was the angry side of me coming out, and I was like, nope, I'm not taking this. I don't want to be around you. I don't care if you love me or not. But it was all lies because those were my defense mechanisms to feel like, okay, I was in control of a situation and I was in control of me. That was what I thought, at least. But my dad texted me, and then I said, hey, call me. But he didn't call. I called him, and I was like, hey, Daddy, like just to make him feel comfortable. Like, it's me. I'm your daughter. I hold no resentment. I love you, unconditionally. You don't have to go back in the past and explain what happened because the past happened already. Let's move on to from this day. Let's go into from the present to our future together as father and daughter. And he just wanted pictures of his grandchildren and just to see how beautiful they are, and just to see how they've grown and how I've grown, and just to show you that when you do the work within yourself. I never understood when I would listen to Iyanla Vanzant saying, do your work, and how powerful she was with those words. And it was like, wow, someone that has taken the time to really dissect themselves and allow God to dissect them from the inside out, and rejuvenate your body the way he does, and rejuvenate your spirit the way he does after he's dissected you. And I'm gonna tell you that dissecting process is something painful but necessary. And when he does that to you, and removes all that negative and all those painful memories and all those things that turned you into a person that you really weren't supposed to be, and changes that part of you on the inside, and heals that part of you on the inside. Because my friend said don't say change, because God doesn't change. It's just more like he just enhances what was already in there, because those things still need to stay, because all those experiences still need to stay within you, so that you, when you go through things, you can always relate back to that experience and say, you know what, I handled that wrong, and so now this is the new way that I handle things, you know. And, you know, God has done that to me. And, you know, I'm so apologetic to people when I feel like I've sent off negative energy to them. Because that's the human side of me still processing, you know, the human side of me is still fighting with the spiritual side of me in some ways. And that's a battle that we all go through on a daily basis. But, I'm aware of it. And so when I'm made aware and I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I quickly clean up my mess, because I don't want to inflict any type of pain or any type of negative energy on anyone, because that's my energy that I'm trying to put on someone else, and it's not theirs, you know. So I have to take that back and say, you know what, hey, I'm sorry for doing that to you, because that really wasn't my intention, you know. And that's what God does to you. He makes you reflect on, you know, everything that you do throughout a day. You know, you reflect, and you know, you go through those processes, and then you clean up your mess, because no one else is going to clean it up for you. And so during all of this with my dad and everything, after everything, you know, we spoke and everything, and he said he loved me, and I told him I loved him too. And just the joy that he had in his heart and his voice, I could hear it and feel it. And it was like, I put him at peace. You know, he was at peace because he knew that I was at peace. And that's the lesson that we all need to learn. That when you forgive someone, it not only heals that person, but it heals you. And the healing, the forgiveness is for you, but that other person needs it too. Because though you may not see them carrying that weight with them, they're carrying it just as well as you're carrying it. And I want us all to have forgiving spirits and forgiving hearts, because I have experienced unforgiveness and I've experienced forgiveness now. And forgiveness feels a whole lot better. So if I've done anything wrong to anyone out there in YouTube land that has come in contact with me in any time in my life, and I've done something wrong to you, I apologize. That was the human side of me, and I was not in a spiritual place where I could say, you know what, I can reflect on this. And the reflection becomes so quick now, because you know what's not of God. You're aware. You're fully aware of what's going on around you, and you look at things in a different way. So everything is spiritual to you now. You know, every experience, you know, even, you know, the fact that, you know, we're going through protesting right now for George Floyd, and all those things are spiritual things that have to happen right now. And how we're looking at those things, some of us are looking at it from the human aspect, which will give us human reaction to it. There are a lot of us that are looking at it on a spiritual aspect, and we're saying, you know what, this had to happen, because this is going to make that change happen. The change is going to have to happen now at this point. And when I looked at the way, you know, that situation happened, for me, I saw it in such a different way. And I know that a lot of my spiritual people saw it in a similar way to what I saw it. You know, that, you know, God had to make that example. And though George Floyd, you know, one of our angels, had to be the sacrifice you know, in this situation, but it had to happen the way it did. But we are still supposed to be peaceful and loving people, and get our words across to others in a loving and peaceful way. And through my journey, that's what I've learned, because the old me would have been like so angry, and though yes, I'm frustrated about it, but not frustrated in the sense of that it's consuming me. I pray for all the people involved. You know, I pray for all the people involved, because I know that this is something higher than us. You know, this is something bigger than us. And And that's all I'm going to say about that. But just having that positive thinking and changing the way our mindsets really does make a change in everything in our lives. And I started saying that to myself, trust the process, because there were days where I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. And it was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go back to my old ways. They were easier. I was comfortable there. I understood them. I had control of that. That was the human side of me saying that. Then the spiritual side of me was saying, yeah, you did it that way, but it didn't work for you. So how about you try God's way? And sure enough, God's way is the best way. So I would say to anybody, if you're going to put your eggs in any basket, all your eggs in any basket, let it be God's basket. Because he will deliver you. He will restore you. He will love you. And he will give you the strength to continue on every day. Trust the process and have a blessed evening. Now I'm going to exercise because I haven't gotten my 5 miles in, and I got to go get it. I love y'all, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Have a blessed evening.